Welcome to the Tom Matt Show. You are walking through the front door of the refirement zone. And now, your host, Tom Matt.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the Tom Matt Show. Last week, had a youngster in here, Emma Gillies, Journey into Higher Ed, the teacher. She's a senior at Michigan State University, an educator. And another one of the Journey into Higher Ed storyline with these students that we bring in, but also she was a long-term substitute last year in the Lansing School District in the middle school, hybrid school, up to 8th grade. And she had a full-time gig. And so her relationship with her students, being a young person, she had a lot of really good tips. That's a great show. She's a really good girl. And she also talked about how she funds her own education, funds her own life, has jobs, has no student debt. And so you hear all of this stuff about kids all the time, student debt, this, that, and the other. But there are lots of them out there that are doing it the old-fashioned way, grinding and working and just getting it done. And everybody's situation is different. Just like my guest, Dr. Tony Avellino, and I were just talking about in the journey of life, all of the little things that used to bug the crap out of you aren't so important anymore. All right, let me do a quick bio for my bro here. Anthony M. Avellino, MD, MBA, with lots of letters after his name. Dr. Anthony M. Avellino, MD, MBA. This is just, I love reading his bio. Okay, just stick with me here, everybody. Professor of neurosurgery and board certified pediatric adult neurosurgeon. Badass. Dr. Avellino provides pediatric neurosurgical care at Banner University Medical Center, Tucson. He is an active teaching member neurological surgery residency program within the Department of Neurosurgery at the University of Arizona College of Medicine, Tucson campus. Dr. Avellino has been around. He's traveled all over the place. He's worked in many different places. Talented people usually do that. He is a member of the American Association of Neurological Surgeons, American Society of Pediatric Neurosurgeons, Congress of Neurological. I mean, if he pays dues for this, I hope he gets some kind of tax write-off of this. Pediatric section, the AANS-CNS. Here's the part I want you guys to take away from this quick intro, which is kind of a long intro. Dr. Avellino is a former NCAA student athlete at Cornell University, okay? Active endurance ultra runner. As a student athlete at Cornell, he was a football player. Now he is an active endurance ultra runner. We were just talking about that pre-show. If you want to check that out, go check out the YouTube video talking about beating ourselves up when we do our training. It happens. That's part of putting yourself under the stress. In October of 2019 and January of 2021, this is the coolest thing ever. He was fortunate to be a deckhand on the FV Saga, a commercial crab fishing boat profiled in the Discovery Channel's Deadliest Catch. And we did an episode with Captain Jake and Tony, and you can find that on the website. That was sweet. And then the post-show shenanigans that we had, great. He's laughing in the background. Further, for Dr. Avellino, I'll close this thing up here with his book, Finding a Purpose, A Neurosurgeon's Journey into Hope and Healing, is awesome. You want to check that out. Nationally released in 2021. And welcome back to the radio program. My brother carries the water on performance living, Dr. Anthony Avellino. What's up, Tony?
Hey, Tom. Great to be back. And it's amazing how the summer has gone by very, very quick. You know, I must say that the weather here in Arizona has been extremely hot. In fact, I was listening to the weather report this morning, and we're on one of the longest streaks to have over the weather, 110 degrees, you know, and, but yeah, no, but it's great to be here. It's great to be on your show because I'm inspired every time that I see you, because what you're doing is telling stories so people can be their best. And so the hundreds of guests that you have had really sharing their life journey, their life stories, truly gives your listeners the ability to pause and hopefully make a change in their life to be their best.
Well, thank you for saying all those kind of things, Tony. I appreciate that very much. Yeah, it is a passion play for sure. And we do this thing, and it's just, you got to have side action, everybody. This is our refirement zone part of our refinement zone planning. So you just gotta have the dream and live with it and go with it and just don't give up. I mean, I was just talking to Tony about a book that I'm rereading that I bought another copy of because I can't find the other one. But, psychocybernetics talks about the positivity angle and self-perception and all of those types of things. But for today's episode, this is going to be, typically we do a high altitude with our guests on just, their lives and everything. But with Tony, because he's such a regular, this is a high altitude on tech and innovation. And we'll cover a lot of that. But first, before we go there, the drill here, Dr. Avellino. Got to talk about the fam. To catch everybody up in the Midwest here, there where we're recording this in Little House, Lansing. And you're in beautiful Scottsdale, Arizona, and your sweet place at 110 degrees. And so, but hey, you know what? You know what I loved when I lived in SoCal, Southern California, Tony, and I'd go out to the desert. People would say, "Yeah, but it's just dry heat. It's just dry heat." It's like when you live at 110 or you're playing golf at 115.
It's tough. Yeah. I mean,
when do you get your runs in? Like 3:00 in the morning?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I would say is I can see why people go somewhere else during June, July, and August because the weather here is a dry heat, but it's difficult to do things. But people find all sorts of creative ways.
Sure.
But yeah. No, but the thing is, I am very, very glad you asked because my wife is doing great. She has her horse here. I must say that having a horse from Lansing, Michigan, and then moving here, the temperature is very, very different. And it really takes a while for the horse to get acclimated. So, but my wife's doing fine. Jen's doing great. My daughter, Ashley, as you know, she just began her first year of law school at Arizona State U. And my son went back to New York, and so he's finished. Well, he hopes to finish Cornell engineering 1 year early.
Big surprise.
Yeah. So and so a lot depends on if his meta internship that he did this past summer, if Meta does indeed offer him a role, he has enough credits to graduate 1 year early. So
congratulations on that
one. Yeah. So I mean, and no, but I would say as you age, your family brings you such joy, as you and I've discussed many times, as you go through these transitions in life. But it's quite interesting per se. Is if I look back, is when your kids are younger, as they go through elementary school, high school, college. It's amazing how they make these transitions, and it's a big transformation. But I think that's why today talking about artificial intelligence is such a really important thing, because that's going to change the world.
Everything. I'm gonna take it through to break here, everybody. We're coming up on that. Let me reset this. Dr. Anthony Avellino is here, which means it's a performance living episode, which we love doing these because they're so important for us to try to improve our performance, whatever you're trying to do. And it just made me think of a post I put up on Facebook today about being grateful. If you wake up, be grateful, because it's always a struggle. So if you wake up, don't wake up with a frown on your face. Put a smile on your face. If you have a frown on your face, flip it upside down and just get busy, whatever makes you happy. Artificial intelligence. We're going to do a high altitude on this. We're going to wind up Dr. Avellino, and we're going to go. You're listening to The Tom Matt Show.
This segment of The Tom Matt Show is brought to you in part by The Source of Light and Power by band leader Ark of All and broadcaster Mitch Anderson. Hear the sound that is endorsed by Odyssey headphones, linear tube audio, RME converters, and Peluso microphones at sourceoflightandpower.bandcamp.com.
Welcome to the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Tom Matt Show. This segment is sponsored by Craig, Ameriprise Financial, Craig Stiles. Great guy. Unbelievable father. Great family. Your Ameriprise Financial Advisor, and ours has all of our retirement zone savings. Craig's the bomb. He can help you plan for the life you want today. He can help you like he helped us. Maybe once a month, maybe once every 2 months, I'll even look at the thing. It's like, I know it's good. It's in good hands, and I don't worry about it, so I can go do my own thing with the right financial advisor like Craig, or anyone on his team or friends and colleagues at Ameriprise. Life can be-ism, be brilliant. Call Craig, 1-800-528-1355, 517-483-4893. Craig.Stiles@ampf.com is his email. Offices are located 2651 Coolidge Road, Suite 103, East Lansing, Michigan, 48823. Just because he's in East Lansing does not preclude you from giving him a call on that 800 number, 1-800-528-1355, because Ameriprise is a national company and they've been around for well over 100 years. So they're very, very well known and very, very well educated people. They know what they're doing. So smart. Stations that have carried us in the past carry us now, especially the stations in the Michigan Talk Network. Thanks to Steve and Ivy Gruber. Appreciate them very, very much. Smartest people around. Steve Gruber, super talented. Ivy Gruber, super smart. And I just saw on social media that Ivy just did a 50-mile hike, which she said was the hardest thing that she's ever done in her life. Good for you, Ivy. I hope you hear this. Okay, so the flagship of that is WGIM 1240 AM Lansing, the flagship of the Michigan Talk Network. WGHN 92.1 FM in Grand Haven carried us for a long time, thanks to Will Tiemann and Wendy Hart. WGRW 1340 in Grand Rapids. WKLQ 1490 Muskegon Whitehall. WYPV FM 94.5 in Mackinac City, way up north in the mitten, up in the top of the mitten. And WKAR AM 870 in East Lansing. News Talk, the big flamethrower at Michigan State University, and simulcast on 102.3 FM. Sundays at 5 p.m. Great slot. Thank you so much for putting us there, Brad, and carrying us. And we're going to win an award for those guys for sure because they're the best. Okay, again, thank you to Craig Stiles for creating Disciplinary Analytics, which is his proprietary algorithm. And he helped a student that I know, Anya Gerstenberg, get a 4-point on her senior cognate at Michigan State University in computer science on Disciplinary Analytics. So it goes to show you that this thing's very applicable to many different things. And Craig designed that like 15, 20 years ago. So back to the show today, Performance Living. Looking forward to this one. Being a tech guy, I like talking tech. It's interesting to learn from our experts. Dr. Anthony Avellino is back. Okay, Tony, let's set this bad boy up. I mean, we should talk about innovation is the title of the show, Performance Living. Let's just start right at the top with the AI stuff. I mean, just set up the whole kind of the ecosystem of what's going on, and then we can kind of start to drill down. Can you start there, please?
Yeah. So I think if we start with some stats, if you look at the global AI industry accounts for about $196 billion a year. It's supposed to increase 13 times over the next 6 years. Ooh. By 2026, the business is going to be at $299 billion. By 2025, they project there's going to be 97 million people working in the AI space. And if you look at the finances and Wall Street, if you look at the top 6 or 7 stocks that's really driving the whole AI. I mean, for example, if you look at NVIDIA, their 5-year return has been over 2,700%.
How'd you like to have a piece of that action?
Well, let me tell you. So if you invested $1,000 in NVIDIA stock 10 years ago, it would be worth $271,000 today.
Nice payoff.
And further, if you look at the If you look at the Microsoft, another big corporation in the AI space, their 5-year return has been 215%. But also, if you look at Amazon, Apple, is AI is truly going to change the world. But I think going through some of the advantages and disadvantages at the end of the show, because even though it's a lot of hype but artificial intelligence, I mean, for a person that's been in healthcare, it's going to revolutionize how we manage patients, treat patients, diagnose disease, because AI and big data science is getting larger and larger and larger.
Can I ask you a quick question? Just a guesstimate, Tony, and it's on topic, but it's not in our notes. How much of the AI space do you think is going to be specifically in the healthcare industry, which is very, very wide? I mean, healthcare is very huge. What of that percentage of the 196 billion annually that, now that's happening with this, which is a huge number? What would you say? 30%, 20%?
Yeah. If the GDP of healthcare is about 19% or so, I would say 20-25%. But I think we have to be cautious, because I think in the next couple of years, as AI gets bigger and bigger, I think it's going to play it's going to play a bigger percentage in healthcare, because I personally feel that in the healthcare space, it can truly revolutionize things, because in healthcare has been sort of a late adopter. Because as all the other industries have adopted AI, they've been getting better and better and better. And in the healthcare space, people are just beginning to use it. Like, for example, in the United States, there's three medical schools, one in Texas, one in Illinois, and one here in Arizona, that's really a medical engineering school. And I think we're going to see more of these schools, because AI is going to play a big role, because, some other stats we can begin with too is in 1950.
Hold that thought, because I want to ask you a quick question, and then we'll come back to the stats here, because I only got about 30 seconds to go here. But you said the three schools were in the states of Texas, Arizona, and what was the third one?
And Illinois.
Okay, I'm gonna stop Dr. Avellino right here, because we are coming up on break, and I don't want to cut him on some good stats here. But see, this is where we're going with all of this. You got to build a foundation to understand this stuff before you can really jump into it, because it can be a little frightening and overwhelming, everybody. So let's leave it there. We'll come back with a fresh segment and give Dr. Avellino plenty of time to just rattle on. As I said, when I got these notes from Dr. Avellino just this week, he sent them a while ago, but when I started looking through them, it's like, well, this is like 5 episodes. I mean, there's so much here. So we're going to give you the nuts and bolts here, everybody. So hang with us. Performance Living Innovation with Dr. Tony Avellino. This is the Tom Matt Show.
Thank you again to our Segment 2 sponsor, Craig Stiles of Ameriprise Financial. For more information on services provided by Craig, please visit ameripriseadvisors.com/Craig.Stiles or by calling 517-483-4893. You're tuned in to The Tom Matt Show.
Welcome to The Tom Matt Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Third segment of The Tom Matt Show is sponsored. I want to acknowledge our third segment sponsor. It's Jamie White, White Law. Awesome people. White Law is where justice meets compassion. White Law and Jamie also sponsors David DeMarco's Mad Dog Minutes that we put up 3 times a week on our YouTube channels, and lots of people who are fans of David and sports love those clips that he does, and they're fun to watch, and they're only a minute long. So go to our YouTube channel, go to our website, TomMattShow.com, and you can find all that stuff. But I want to thank Jamie for doing that as well. White Law, PLLC. White Law is our advocate in times of need. I have called, texted Jamie, and he's so busy, it's crazy. But I've called him and texted him on issues where people get a hold of me and say, hey, what do you think about this? Wait, what do you think about that? And I'll just say, well, I have to go talk to my friends, my people who help me, figure this stuff out. And Jamie's the guy, the attorney guy who I can say, is this a fair price? What's this cost? How long does this take? Blah, blah, blah. He answers the questions. He'll take the call. He is there to listen, support, and fight for what you deserve, as he should. And his story is compelling. If you listen to that first episode when he was on the show, talking about his parents and how he got into the law business, all of this. So fascinating. Such a great guy, such a great team over there. Contact White Law today for your free consultation. You can visit them at whitelawpllc.com or call 517-777-9785. Okay, 777-9785. All right, back to the episode today. Performance Living, Innovation, Tech with Dr. Anthony Avellino, Tony. I call him Tony. Everybody in his family calls him something different. We won't even go there. Maybe later in the show we'll talk about that. It's pretty funny. But Tony's my brother from another mother for sure. We met at Michigan State University years ago, and we have a good time sharing good information with all of you. This innovation, the AI, all of this is such a gigantic topic. We will not be able to cover it all today. No way. But we're going to do the high altitude today and let Tony kind of help me understand why we really want to embrace this stuff, because we get freaked out, don't we, Tony? Now you were getting ready to name off some stats, and I had to cut you off. So can you want to pick up that thread?
Yeah. If we really talk about the high level, because even though healthcare plays a role in AI, there's a lot of other industries that are using it, from manufacturing to finance, and it goes on and on. But if we really focus on healthcare, and just to give you some stats, so in 1950, medical knowledge doubled every 50 years. So in 1950, medical knowledge doubled every 50 years. Today, medical knowledge doubles every 73 days.
Ooh.
Today, there's more than 1.5 million peer-reviewed scientific journal articles published every year. And the reason why I say that, because we were talking in the prior segment about there's 3 medical schools in the United States that have an engineering bent to them. And I think that's important, because when I went to medical school in the late 1980s, there was a finite set of information that we could learn. Fast forward 30 years later, there is so much information out there that I think AI plays a really important role, is how to help us sift through that enormous amount of data we have to make relevance out of that. And I think from a healthcare perspective, in the 4 areas, 1 is how we diagnose patients. 2 is how we transcribe our medical documents, because as you know, burnout in physicians is real. Burnout in nursing staff is real. If conservatively we have 45% of physicians burnt out, we have 1 million physicians in the United States, and we have 450,000 physicians that are burnt out. It's truly a public health crisis. And part of that is how to get better on the medical documentation. 3rd is how we do drug discovery and development. And 4 is how we get some administrative efficiencies. And that's why in the prior segment, Tom, I said, I think even though AI plays a 20% role per se now, I think in the next 5, 6, 10 years, it's going to play a huge role, because people are always going to get sick. People are always going to need healthcare. Innovation technology, from most invasive to least invasive surgeries, is going to get more. And so it's really, I think what AI does, it gives us the ability how to sift through there's so much information out there. Because like I said, 1950, our medical knowledge doubled every 50 years. Now it doubles every 73 days. And there is no way anyone can have the ability to sift through a million relevant articles and make sense out of it. And so that's why I think AI is going to be really powerful.
Okay, let me ask you a question here, because I wrote down training on the AI programs, because like you said, you're only as good as your training. And if you're not introduced to the topics, for example, doctors, I know this because I've interviewed lots of doctors, and you and I are such good friends, and we've talked about this many times. Your curriculum when you're in medical school has certain deliverables. You have to hit certain metrics. You have to do certain things to get your license to do whatever you're going to do, your specializations. So, for example, nutrition is kind of like its own science.
Mm-hmm.
Doctors and physicians are not, back in the day, the nutritional science and dietetics were not where they're at now. As a matter of fact, you would have a dietitian who the doctor would maybe go to. It's the same thing with I'm just looking at the training as far as the user, Tony, being able to understand and accept the information. But on your side of things, not only as a doctor, but also as an educator and a dean of a college and all this kind of stuff, the professional training that you're getting out there, the opportunities because if the field is growing that fast, who is leading the path on training the next level of professionals or ramping up all of our skills? Because you and I mean, we do this stuff. We do all this tech stuff. Who's learning? How is it? YouTube University? Where are we going to get the education?
Yeah, Tom, I mean, medical education really hasn't changed much over the last 100 of years. There's been some new paradigms in the curriculum, how we train people, but I think you're right. I think we have to think differently how we train physicians today. Because what we're doing obviously is not working as well. Because if we have 45% of physicians that have some burnout symptoms, that's a huge number. And that was during the COVID pandemic. Coming out of the COVID pandemic, it's even higher. But I think, that's why I think these innovative medical schools that have this engineering bent are truly going to be transformative, because for a few reasons. One is how to learn in the AI engineering space gives you the ability how to sift through information. Two, a lot of these new medical schools are smaller classes, and so they're more agile. You have the ability to experiment and transform. And then third, I think since it's new, people are excited. And so that creates some creativity.
All right, hold that thought, because I'm going to take that. I'm going to say new creative thoughts on trainings, because this is where it's at, everybody. If we don't have the educational background and having the three schools, both of us being in higher ed as long as we have been, higher education, call it what it is, it's a big business, okay? When you're a trend-setting business in Texas, Arizona, Illinois, those are going to set the trend for the next level across the country. And I like what Tony's saying. We're going to come back to talk about that. This is a huge topic, everybody. Dr. Avellino is here, Performance Living Innovation. This is the Tom Matt Show.
Thank you again to our segment 3 sponsor, White Law PLLC, where justice meets compassion. White Law is your advocate in times of need. We are here to listen, support, and fight for what you deserve. Contact White Law today for your free consultation. Visit us at whitelawpllc.com or call 517-777-9785. This is the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome to the Tom Matt Show.
Fourth segment of the Tom Matt Show is sponsored by Brock Fletcher, selling team of Keller Williams Realty. Want to thank the whole crew. Mike Dedman, how are you, buddy? Want to thank the whole crew over there for inviting us to another one of their outstanding fun events. Brock Fletcher is a marketing genius. He does these sweet events where people have a lot of fun. We went to this, it was all natural putt-putt course at Hawk Hollow called Little Hawk here locally. And we did this putt-putt challenge, had all kinds of door prizes. We actually won a couple things. I never win a door prize. I won some door prizes. It's like great. But Brock Fletcher does these things because he wants to share all of the good with his customers. And it was just so much fun. That's why you want to go with Brock and his team at Keller Williams Realty like we did. because we trusted him. And trust is their middle name. Here are a couple phone numbers for you, everybody. 517-853-6408, or the cell phone number to Brock's Pocket, 517-303-3262. I'm going to give that to you again. 517-303-3262, or go online to kwsellingteam.com. That's kwsellingteam.com. As I've said many times, again, full disclosure, we use all of our sponsors. We have utilized their services. They're our friends. We trust them all, from Craig to Jamie to Brock, all of them. Sell your home without hassles like we did when we got rid of Big House Holt, hit our number. Brock, he nailed it. I mean, I've said this story before. Quick synopsis. Big House Holt, our forever home, giant place, sweet, built it from the dirt and lived there for 20 years. How many of you have gone through that? Okay. You get to this next phase in life, like Tony, Dr. Avellino, and I were talking about earlier in our recording session today. Things change. You need people to help you. It's stressful enough. Life is hard. You need to find the right people. Don't go with some shady operator because it's like, but they're giving me a better price. You know what? Sometimes it's better to just go with the pro, go with somebody you know, go with a good brand, because they're a good brand for a reason, right? Please, KW Selling Team. Have you ever heard of Keller Williams? I mean, they will help you sell your home without hassles. I promise you. Again, 517-303-3262 is Brock's cell phone number. Leave him a voicemail, text him, tell him you heard it from Tommy. That's how they know it came from radio, and I appreciate that, and it helps us as well. Okay, back to Dr. Avellino. We're barely cutting the surface, touching the surface of innovation in healthcare. Okay, innovation globally. Tony's has some great stats. If you're just joining us, you can go back and get the podcast and listen to that stuff. It's really interesting. But Tony, now we're in the uses. I'm just gonna fire you up and let you go and talk as much as possible, because to close the final segment, we're going to talk about advantages and disadvantages. We got to get this done. So go right ahead. You got your diagnosis, transcribing, drug discovery, and administrative efficiencies. Please, sir, go right ahead.
Yeah, so I often say, what do physicians want? They want to provide quality care. They want to be efficient. They want to be appreciated. And healthcare has been a late adopter on a lot of technologies for various reasons. But I think AI in healthcare today, in the four really areas, is one is how we diagnose patients, because AI could really develop algorithms that analyze all bits of information, such as medical imaging, X-rays, MRI scans, CT scans, as well. It can bring in laboratory tests. It can bring in biomarkers. It can bring in wearables, things, heart rate, sleep monitor. And so, but it really can be assistance to healthcare professionals to make a more accurate and swift diagnosis. So I think that's one area. Two is transcription, because when I trained in the 80s, our medical transcription wasn't as good as it is today. I think the electronic medical record system is good and bad, but I think it adds on an enormous amount of time. So how do you make that more efficient? With all this speech recognition technology, you can develop algorithms and machine learning models where you convert spoken language into written text. And there's a variety of products on the market that you can literally sit in the patient's room with your cell phone. You can record it, and at the end of the visit, it sort of transcribes things for you. Third is how we do drug discovery and development, because, like I said, in 1950, medical knowledge doubled every 50 years. Today, it's 73 days, 1.5 million scientific articles published annually, and that's going to get larger. So how do you sift through all that information to make sense of it? And so I think AI and numerous algorithms can accelerate the drug discovery process by analyzing vast data sets and it can identify potential drugs, and it can also predict how they're going to work. Because you and I are two human beings, we could have high blood pressure, we could be on the same meds, but our genomics or proteomics or gene profile are different. So my drug may not work for you. And so how do you sift through that? And then fourth, I think from an administrative efficiencies, such as billing, scheduling, because we do so much paperwork and rework, how you can improve the back end processes. Because I know that when I was at MSU Healthcare, we were beginning to use bots and really how to streamline some of these administrative tasks. And so I think those four areas around how we diagnose patients better, how we transcribe our medical documents, how we do drug discovery and development, and then fourth, how we can have some administrative efficiencies. And I think, how to sift through that so much information to make sense of it so we can diagnose patients more accurately, we can treat patients more accurately, so people can, really go from that wellness to disease back to wellness.
I love it. I think it's when I've talked to my doctor friends, and I have several, quite a few actually, one of the things that always comes up, and I'm thinking of Mike Shingles, for example, who's an orthopedic surgeon.
Yeah.
And we both know Mike very, very well. Great guy. He's talking about the administrative stuff and how the paperwork is such a burden on the staffing. And so, you've already got doctors who are overwhelmed with patients because we've got a shortage of doctors. You've said a couple of times, Tony, 45% of the doctors are going through burnout. Okay, so if we're losing doctors, it takes a long time to create a doctor. I mean, what is it? How long was your program? Like 20 years?
4 college, 4 medical school, and then it depends on what subspecialty. So for pediatric neurosurgery, it's 8.5 years.
Exactly. You're talking a good chunk of your life.
Yeah, a long time.
And then the cost. So if we can get different specialists to come in, help us with this, break this down, it's very, very important to understand. I like the diagnosis thing, Tony. I wrote down accuracy. We're not going to be able to finish this thread, but I want to plant this seed and maybe we can finish it in the fifth segment. But the electronic medical records, the transcribing, I kind of wrote that down as part of the top 4 here that you have here. The electronic medical records has not been the be-all, end-all like they said it would be. I think this is going to take it to the next level, because if you can get everybody on the same platform, is that possible?
Yeah. So Tom, one of the biggest things that we can do for American healthcare is if we had a standardized electric medical record used between multiple systems and around the United States, that would transform things. From the VA system to the Epic systems to Cerner systems. But if we had that, because once you have the data, there's so much data in there, you can use AI algorithms, how to sift through all that bits of information, heart rate, blood pressure, medication, goes on and on and on. And I think wearables are really going to play a big role. How many people wear the watches, the iWatch, the Fitbits,
the Aura ring.
The rings,
the
rings, right? Yeah. I mean, it's, and I think as the technology gets more refined, the price will come down, people will have more access to it, but that leads to so much information. And I think that's where artificial intelligence, how to sift through the tremendous, vast amount of information to get to a solvable question.
And when we come back from break, everybody, I'm going to carry this through, Tony, because we're right up against it. I want to talk a little bit more about that because of the wearables, and they're so prolific out there. If you're spending money, and maybe we'll have that in the advantages and disadvantages in the closing segment, how do you sift through all of this information? We'll talk about it when we come back. This is the Tom Matt Show.
Thank you again to our segment 4 sponsor, Brock Fletcher, real estate agent at the selling team with Keller Williams Realty. For more information on services provided by Brock, please call his personal cell phone at 517-303-3262 or by emailing Brock at kwsellingteam.com. This is the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome to the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the fifth segment. The fifth segment is a special segment on this radio program. Only a few of the radio stations actually carry us through the whole hour. It's just it's a radio thing. But the podcast is where you get the fifth segment. So if you're joining us for the fifth segment, thank you so much for doing that. Going to get some good info here. Remember to contact us, get a hold of Sandy, get a hold of myself, ask questions of the guests. TomMattShow.com is our website. Go there. Contact box, send us a note if you want. You got a question for Dr. Avellino, performance living, any of this kind of stuff. Send me a quick note. Sandy will get it to me for sure. It's very easy to use, and you can find all of our sponsors at the bottom of that homepage. All the podcasts are there. There's articles. There's all kinds of stuff there. I had people. I was in Wisconsin just this last week, and had a guy look at our website, and he goes, "Wow, you're really into this stuff." I'm like, "Well, yeah, we've been doing this. Like, we start our 14th season here in about a month, so it's like we've been working on this program for a long time, and we want to help you help yourself." Dr. Avellino, how would you like people to connect with you? Find your book. Go ahead. Sell it, baby. Sell it.
So you can you can go to my website, findingpurposeavellino.com. My Gmail is avellino37@gmail.com. But really, Tom, what you're doing is creating a platform where people can share their stories, share knowledge, so we all can get better.
It's a really fun thing to do, Tony, and I'm really happy that you and I worked this out together. And like having our previous episode with Emma Gillies on here, young student, giving her some reps on this kind of stuff. It's all helpful. It's all good information. And the two things we don't do on this program, politics and religion. And we do a little bit of those two things, but there's enough out there where we need to help people with performance living. We could just do Tom Matt Show Performance Living with Tony, and we could just do 5 hours, as Tony said during our break. All right, so Tony, I wanted to finish the thread of the we had the 4 users, and then we're going to go to the advantages and disadvantages.
Sure.
And maybe this weaves into, because the EMR, electronic medical records, they've been working on this for a long time. It seems like these different providers, I don't know, what do you call them? These big corporate organizations, like a McLaren, like a Sparrow, like University of Michigan Health. There's lots of them all over the place, but they seem like they have their own systems. There's got to be a way for the AI industry to tie these systems. You can still have your own system, but then have them be able to integrate together with all of the wearables and all of the tech that we're out there, because people are like, well, I want to buy an Oura Ring or I want to buy an Apple Watch. What do you do with the data? I mean, so is that going to happen for us? Is that an advantage, disadvantage? Go ahead, Tony.
Yeah, the thing is, healthcare is such big business, and these EMR systems, Epic, Cerner, and others, the financial implications. But what you're talking about is the interoperability.
Yes.
Because I must say, in my 30+ year practice, people come to me. It'd be a lot easier that if we had one system that I can just look up their imaging and their labs, because we actually do a lot of rework. And so anytime we can get some of those inefficiencies down, but with that said, I think healthcare is changing. AI is really going to transform things. And so, I'm a hopeful person. And I think as this whole open AI stuff has open software, I think that leads to creativity and increasing access and lower costs. And so I think over time, that's something that we should strive to. I'm not sure if we will get there in the next 5 or 10 years, but I think it's something that will make a huge difference and increase quality and lower costs and ultimately increase access.
Well, the pandemic, excuse me, Tony, but with the pandemic, we had to get all that virtual healthcare going, telehealth, and people became more acclimated to the telehealth. And it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm used to going to the doctor's office. We were conditioned. But now if you get a Gen Zer, they're totally cool with talking to you on their phone. I mean, they're fine with it. I mean, and they're fine with buying big ticket items on their phone. I mean, it's a different perception and perspective. Oh, yeah. If we can do this, I mean, people are getting more indoctrinated into this and they're becoming more comfortable with it. Just think, if you had to, again, back to the EMR stuff, if you had with the electronic medical records and then all of the virtual stuff that we could do with healthcare, save you guys a heck of a lot of time. And you're talking about administrative efficiencies. How many patients, let me ask you a question, Tony, advantage, disadvantage, closing segment, sort of weaves into it. How many patients can you see physically in one day?
So I'd say about 12 to 15.
Okay, 12 to 15.
One day.
How many people, how far out are your scheduled patients? 2
or 3 months.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like, okay, I want to I need a new provider. If you can even get into the provider, if you can get into the club, oh, wait, we're not taking new patients. Oh, wait. So, see what I'm saying?
Tom,
I'm preaching to the choir, aren't I, Tony?
No, but I think AI will change that, because I think people will be able to be more efficient and really be more like a doctor and using their human skills about empathy and compassion and not just being a scribe and a robot.
Right, exactly. And so if people get used to seeing their doctor, if they watch our podcast, and they watch the videos, or they just listen to the radio or the audio version of the podcast, the quality of the visual is so good, everybody. If you haven't got into, and I'd be surprised, but there's a lot of people who are not tech savvy at all, but you need to understand that the Zoom qualities, the Teams things with Microsoft, there's a lot of different platforms out there. These things work really well. I mean, look at our videos. This is just basic stuff. I mean, it's not that complicated. So Get used to it. Because if Dr. Avellino could see, if he sees 12 people in person, if he could see double that, say 25 people remotely, boom, not only does he get to see 25 people and he can prioritize and build onto his efficiencies, boom, everybody gets better care. And that's the thing. Tony, I know you had some points about advantages and disadvantages, and we're kind of getting off that. I want to give you the rest of the show. We got about three or 4 minutes to go here. Yeah. What are some of the disadvantages that you see?
Yeah, so I think some of the advantages is, like we mentioned, how we can improve diagnostics and how we can use the multiple bits of precision medicine, meaning really having different people's different genomics and protein profiles. 2 is how we can streamline some of the administrative tasks and workflows. 3 is how we can enhance how we develop new drugs, new therapies, as well as streamline some of our research. But I think there are some disadvantages, and I think it really breaks down into 1, the ethical concerns about data privacy issues. 2 is potential job displacement, because if you have more people in AI, there's a potential that those jobs may be taken away. But like I said, by 2025, they're predicting 97 million people will work in AI. And then 3rd is how we can how the reliability and trust. But I think the legal implications are too, because AI, the human brain, can process so much information, but legal implications, how we monitor the technology, how we influence it, how we control it. Because I think AI may be able to monitor, influence, or even control one's individual thoughts, emotions, and behavior. So could we develop sort of this superhuman that's not all good, but does bad things too? And so so those are some far-fetched things. But I think as AI gets developed, I think the benefits totally outweigh the risks, because it's all about how we get better in healthcare, how we diagnose things better, how we treat patients better, how we increase our access. Because at the end of the day, we all want to get better.
We went through personally, and we only got a couple of seconds to go here before we wrap this thing, but personally, we went through a genetic testing for Sandy, and she went through some healthcare stuff, and she had her profile done. And these things are very, very helpful. Tony, let's get your takeaway here because we got to wrap this thing. I got about a minute to go here, but I just wanted to throw that out there about the diagnostics because this stuff it's happening now. So what's your takeaway?
Yeah, my takeaway is really is AI is not just one thing; it's multiple things. But I think we have to keep an open mind because as AI gets bigger, it's going to transform how we think. It's going to increase our creativity, and with creativity comes improved efficiencies. And so but I'm hopeful because a lot of students are going into computer science now. And I think computer science and AI, robotics, virtual reality, mixed reality is really going to change.
You know what? We will come back and do this topic again. This might become our number one topic on performance living, innovation. If our show fits your business or group's mission, we want to be a service to you through our guests, topics, issues. Please let us know. Always remember, before you can share love with others, you must love yourself first. Thank you to Dr. Anthony Avellino for being with us today. Thank you, Tony, for being with me today. I appreciate you very much.
You're very welcome.
Sandy, Craig, Brock, Jamie. We'll talk to everybody next weekend. Have a great week, everybody. Go out and ignite your life. Remember, the Tom Matt Show is a production of Boomers Rock Media. We want to bring your story to life. And lastly, I want to say thank you to our production team, Mitch Anderson and Vanessa. Thank you. We are out.
The Tom Matt Show is produced by Mitch Anderson of Black Circle Studios. Original music and the source of light and power by the Arc of All.